of taking a anybody not want to take a listing? Okay, then I'm assuming everybody is ready to take a listing. Okay, so you guys, I'm sure you've had buyer classes, right? When you have a real estate license, and how do we make money? Well, we can help people buy a home, we can help people sell their home, okay? You probably talked about buyers and agents. Typically, it's, in my personal opinion, it's much easier to start working with buyers when you're new. There is still a lot to learn, but it's different from a listing. Do many of you, let me ask this. What's the first thing you do? Somebody calls you that's referred to you, or you talk with somebody about buying a house. Okay, what's the first thing that you're going to do with that buyer? Anybody have any thoughts?
With the buyer or with the seller?
With the buyer. What's the first thing you're, what's one of the first things that you're going to do with a buyer? Think it's a good idea to get them pre-qualified?
Yeah, I have an idea.
Yeah. Would you agree with that, Giovanna? Getting them pre-qualified?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, probably a good idea, right? Because you don't want to waste your time, you don't want to waste their time, etc. Um, so, smart thing to do with a buyer. Okay, guys, it's really the same thing with a seller. Okay, when you get a lead or somebody tells you that they want to sell their home, um, my job as an agent is to basically pre-qualify them. Find out, can they sell their home? Are they realistic? Are they motivated to sell their home? Okay. How do you think we go about doing that? Give me some thoughts. What would you say? What would you ask a seller or potential seller calls you, says,
Uh,
"Can
so
you help
I
me?"
I remember I remember in night class in February you said we need to ask them why are they moving, stuff like that.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Asking them a series of questions. Okay, great. You want to sell your house. Where are you moving to? When
Hmm.
are you thinking about moving? What are the, and just asking simple questions. But as an agent, you should know certain things. I'm asking questions to find out, are they serious? Are they realistic? Do they really want to move? Um, is it because of a job transfer, a divorce, or just, moving up, right? So just having a general conversation. Typically, I'll just run the conversation, ask, okay, great. I heard, my friend referred you to me, and thanks for calling. Said you were interested in selling your home. Tell me, where are you moving to? Okay. Okay. How soon do you have to be there? Um, it's just a conversation, right? And I'm just, I'm going to take notes on that. Of course, I'm going to ask him, okay, your address, how many bedrooms and bathrooms. I'm going to look I'm going to get the tax data, or I'm going to get the um, previous MLS information on it when I'm talking with them, be in front of a computer usually. I can pull it up and just verify, yeah, it looks like you bought it in 2010, and just having a conversation about the house. But really, okay, where are they going to? What are their goals? Where, when? Okay, again, you guys see the value in having that conversation. Just, instead I can just say, okay, great, give me your address. I'll see you Saturday and I'll bring a CMA. Okay, great way to waste some time. All right. So asking them, how, again, where, how soon, and if I figure out how to pull it up, I do have a sheet I can follow up with you guys, or you can call me and I'll give it to you. Just general questions that I ask of agents, or excuse me, of sellers. And I'm going to ask them, okay, what do you think your home is worth? How much do you want for your home? Okay. Going to spend a fair amount of time talking about the condition of the home, right? Because again, I haven't seen it yet. I'm just trying to build rapport. I'm trying to ask questions of them. And I want to know about the house. I'm going to ask them about the major components. Have they done any updates recently? Now, usually they will tell you if they've done that. Like they'll go into it. Hey, we just started remodeling, or we just remodeled the kitchen. We just remodeled the bathrooms, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and so make sure you're taking notes, right? Okay. So having that conversation with pre-qualifying the seller, just getting as much information as I can, where they move. Are they just kind of thinking about it? Are they looking for just a current value because the seed has been planted and they're thinking that maybe they're going to move in the next year? I don't really care which it is. I want to be able to help them, whether it's, right now or it's 6 months or a year down the road, right? We can nurture people. I want to be the person that they call when they're ready. So having a good conversation and kind of pre-qualifying people again, where are they moving to? When are they moving to? Can you talk, can you describe your home for me? Tell me about it. I'll pull up the information, I'll validate it. If they bought it and the basement was unfinished, I'll ask, have they finished the basement? Roof, furnace, AC, updates, that kind of stuff. Or if they haven't done anything to it, does the house need anything? Are they planning on doing anything? That kind of stuff. So having that conversation, I'll ask them, what they want for their home. People usually have an idea. I'd like to get a feel for where they are, more kind of where they're at, and I don't get into a lot of discussion about it because, again, I haven't looked at any comps or anything on their house yet. So I'm going to just have that conversation with them. Trying to think, I'm going off memory here of other, anything else that's important. One thing I will ask is a question, something similar to this. If they're like, well, we're getting a job transfer and we need to move, we need to get the house on the market. And I set an appointment to meet with them Saturday. I will ask them, if what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, will you consider listing the home with me when I come out on Saturday? Okay. And then I be quiet and I wait for them to respond. I want to get a feel for what they're thinking. And sometimes we'll be like, well, yeah, if everything sounds good, we're ready to go. Okay, great. I know I've got a motivated seller. So, well, we're not quite there yet. We're just really looking for an evaluation and find out what the house is worth and if we need to do anything to it. Okay, I'll make a mental note of that. That's fine. Or I may get, well, we're interviewing agents for the job. Okay. Just some of the things that potential sellers can bring up, right? So thanks, Terry. If you're leaving that on there, guys, so just go to the screen here, you get lead conversion. Okay, right? We're prospecting, you're doing an open house, whatever you're doing, you start having a conversation with somebody about selling their house. So that's the lead part of it, the lead conversion. The pre-listing is kind of what I'm talking about right now. Pre-listing, pre-qualification, asking them what are their wants and needs. I'm usually not talking much about myself. I'm not getting into a marketing plan or anything unless they specifically ask, but then I'll just defer that. I'll say, I'll be happy to cover that when I come out and look at your home. Okay. So the looks like we got somebody else coming in. So you get the lead, you do the pre-qualification, and for tonight's purposes, we are going to assume we have a motivated seller, right? We got somebody that's a job transfer, they're leaving, they got to get the house on the market, and you're hoping that you can help them. Can you guys think of anything else in that initial conversation that you would want to have with the seller? Any other questions that you think you should ask? Nobody? Okay. All right, now this is where I'm going to put you guys on the spot because this will be a really boring class if we don't get some interaction. You go, you had the conversation, you're going to meet with them Saturday at 10 o'clock. You've done a CMA and you're hopefully learning how to do that. And you put your CMA together, you feel like you have a good, you're kind of anxious to see the house and see the real condition of it. Okay, there's always a little bit of anticipation there. You show up at the door, 10 o'clock, be 5 minutes early. So at 9:55, you knock on the door. You haven't maybe you've met them before, maybe you know them. Okay, put yourself in that situation. I did see that Somebody asked what they owe. Yes, good reminder on that. It's always good. I always ask people, what do you owe? They usually know a ballpark, and I say that's great because I put together a net sheet as part of my market analysis for them. Okay, the CMA. I do a seller's net sheet. If you don't know how to do one yet, you're going to learn. Okay, not real. They're very easy to do. Most of the time, people want to know at the end of the day when I sell this house, how much money am I getting at closing? My experience, that's extremely important to them. So knowing what they owe on it. If they don't have it, it's okay. I will usually do it with them in person when I do the meeting. But we're back at the door, 9:55, knock knock. Somebody tell me what you're going to do, and I'll wait till I hear from someone. Guys, I'm just going to return emails and text until somebody says, "What are you going to do at the door?" What would you say? Say, Michelle says, ask if you can do a walkthrough. That's a great start, Michelle. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, pleasantries aside, right? Introduce yourself. Yes. That's the first thing that I'm going to do is, hey, do you mind if we take a quick look through the home? And sometimes they will ask, well, do you want to look by yourself? Do you want us to give you the tour? I always offer, give me the tour. I want to keep them moving pretty quick, though. Um, so we do that. Okay, we walk through the house. I'm taking some notes. I'm asking some questions. I'm developing some rapport, getting to know them, what's important for them, and then we end up back in the front entryway. Now, what are you going to do? Okay, how soon are you wanting to sell? Find out how motivated they are. Okay, yeah, you should know some of that already from your pre-qualification. But when I'm done previewing the house, guys, this is what I consider this is showtime. Okay, it's my time to take them through a process where ultimately, if they are motivated and they're willing to price the property right, that I'm anticipating I'm going to list that house for them. Okay, this is the critical piece. I want you to think about this. Do you think it would be good if you had, let's just call it a listing presentation? Do you think it would be good to have a presentation that's very similar that you can do over and over when you're meeting with sellers? Okay. Yes. Yeah. I'm going to agree with you, Callie. Yeah, it would be a good idea. Um, I was great at early in my career. I was great at doing CMAs and going out and visit with people and getting into rapport and getting along with people and looking at their house and talking numbers. But I didn't take very many listings. I was getting my butt kicked out there because I just didn't have a listing presentation. I thought, I'll wing it. I can get along with people, and I know how to. I was great at doing CMAs, but I just didn't understand the fundamentals that, if they're motivated, they have me in their house for a reason. They are looking for a salesperson, me, to sell their home. Okay, so I finally got a presentation that I've used for years. And nowadays, honestly, I don't really have to use it a whole lot because I get a lot of repeat and referral business. That's one of the benefits of learning a presentation and using it and mastering it. At some point, you just don't have to use it anymore. It's kind of nice, kind of nice. But it was a lot of practice. It was a lot of role play. But I found a presentation that worked for me that was simply just a series of questions that I asked sellers. So for me, I would sit them down at a table. Okay. I don't want to go sit, I don't really want to sit across from people. I want to sit with them. Now I use an iPad. Big iPad is my laptop. And so if I'm got a husband and wife, I'm usually going to say it's time to get cozy. I'll have one sit on either side, put it so we can all be looking at the screen. Or I'll be sitting off to the side, but not trying not to be directly across from. It's just subliminal, and you can learn more about that. But I will start out by asking them a series of questions and something to the effect of, I wrote down 3 real important questions for you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Number 1, do you absolutely have to sell this home? Number 2, will you price the home to sell? And number 3, do you want me to handle the sale for you? Okay. Now they're typically going to answer, and if we were in the live class here, I would have, I'm sorry, I can't pull it up here, but um, an actual script on it. Okay, so 3 real important questions for you. Do you absolutely have to sell your home? What do you guys think people say to that? If I already asked you, do you absolutely have to sell this home? What do you think they're going to say? They're going to say, no, I don't absolutely have to. Or I'm not going to give it away. Those are 2 very common ones. And I just agree. You're great. Great. I mean, you don't have to give it away. Then I just move on to the next question. It's rare that you get the yes, like, do I absolutely have to, right? But I'm really gauging motivation. I'm gauging motivation. Will you price your home to sell? What do you think is the answer to that question that I get most of the time? I think they say, well, it depends. Depends on what price you recommend, Mike. What do you recommend? When I get that, I say, that's terrific. And you know what? We're going to get to that in just a minute when we go through the market analysis. Okay. Third question, do you want me to handle the sale for you? What do you think I get on that question? Somebody say something. Ah, Terry, thank you. I knew this document was probably floating around. Okay, I wrote down 3 real important questions for you. Do you absolutely have to sell your home? No, we don't. We're not going to give it away. Fantastic. Will you price your home to sell? Or do you, well, this has changed a little bit. Or do you want to keep it on the market for a long period of time? I usually just have, will you price your home to sell? Well, it depends. Great. Do you want me to handle the sale for you? A lot of times we'll get, well, just depends on what you have to say, Mike. And then I say, excellent. Okay. Then I move to my next section, section number 4. Okay. At the end of my presentation tonight, 1 of 3 things will happen. Number 1, you'll have an opportunity to list a home with me, or you'll decide not to list your home with me. Or number 3, I'll decide not to take the listing, and any one of those is fine. Are we clear on that? Or I'll just, ask a follow-up question. Does that make sense? Something like that. And okay, what do you think? What's a common question or remark I get from them on that, on those series of questions that I just asked them? I'll give you a hint. It has to do with number 3. Is it how much do you charge? Yeah, and sometimes they do. Well, how much do you charge? Great. We're going to get to that in just a minute. But I'll decide not to take your listing, and any one of those is fine. That is one of the most powerful statements, if you will. It's more of a statement. You can actually just watch the pressure dissolve from them because they just don't feel like they're going to get forced into anything. And just as important, it gives me an out. Okay, guys, you're going to go out, you're going to look at houses, you're going to have people want to hire you that are unrealistic on price, and frankly, their house just stinks. Or they're overbearing and they're going to drive you nuts. You do not have to take every listing. I know everybody's, I just want to take listings. Yeah, take the right ones. Take listings that are going to sell. Okay. We all make mistakes. I guarantee you will make them. You will take listings that you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? Why did I do this? So that's in section 4. I'll decide not to take your listing. Anyone is fine. Sometimes they'll ask me, well, why wouldn't you want to take our listing? And I just say, frankly, folks, if you're not willing or able to price the home to sell, or if you just don't like me or you don't feel like we're going to get along, we don't have to work together. It's just business. Just business. Fair enough? And they're like, yeah, that's great. Okay. So, Terry, I don't think I can move the screen. You're doing it. So in section 5, here's what I'm going to do. Let's quickly take a moment, review the questions I asked you over the phone. Where are you moving to? LA. Okay. You had to be there within such and such a time. Now, guys, this is me telling them that I was listening to them on what I call my pre-qualification phone call. Okay. I'm just hitting the high points. Where are you moving to? Had to be there by such, 90 days. You'd like to price your home at this. You said you owed about this much, or you weren't planning on selling it yourself and you did want your money out. That has to do with seller financing. Usually that will evolve into a little bit of a conversation, or, they'll be talking about, well, we're going to be moving this day, but the movers are coming then, and that's fine. It's just a little bit of a conversation. Okay, so we get through that, and then I go into this. I get up my computer at this time now, and maybe I'll move us and get a little bit closer. I says, now there's only two issues we have to look at tonight. Sorry, your motivation to sell this home, and number two is the price we set on your home. And it's important they've changed it, but I still add in, it's important that you understand those are the only two issues in selling real estate today. And guys, just like death and taxes, price and motivation. Because if they're motivated, they will price it right. If they're not motivated, they may not price it right, and the house will not sell. All the marketing in the world will not sell an overpriced listing, okay? They'll typically ask me, Mike, what about marketing? Marketing. I said, all the marketing in the world won't sell an overpriced listing, right? So the two issues we have to look at tonight are your motivation to sell this home and the price that we set on the home. We need to be, especially in this market that we're in a buyer's market. It's very important that sellers and you as listing agents that we price these properties properly and be honest with our clients. If the CMA says 650, don't price it at 7. It's not going to sell just to take the listing, okay? So then I'll move into, I prepare what we call comparative market analysis. And there's two parts to this research. Part one, I call fantasy land, what homeowners list homes for. And I laugh a little bit, right? Part two, we call reality, what real estate agents like myself list and sell homes for on a daily basis. So you're going to have to decide tonight where you want to spend your time. And then I joke a little bit. I say, I know fantasy land sounds fun, but reality gets you to Las Vegas and your money out and in your pocket, whatever you want to do there, right? And then I'll walk through the purpose of the comparative market analysis, determine the value of your home in the eyes of the buyer. Do you know how buyers determine value? Sometimes I'll read that to them, or I won't go into that. Sometimes I'll just go into right away. I'm just going to go into the CMA, and I'm going to cover it. But rather than me come out and say, again, there's a little bit different verbiages, but as you can see, this is a very short, concise, very efficient listing presentation. I will typically take them through, and I may even edit my CMA while I'm there. I use a live CMA format. So if I've got 5 comps and I get in the house now that I've seen it, and 2 of those are just like, one of them, their house, my client's house is in really good shape, and 2 of them were not remodeled, I can just remove those and I'll get them to focus on the 3 that are most like theirs. And I'm going to zero in on those prices. What did the seller list it at? Did they have to do price reductions? What price caused the offer to come in? So if you listed a price at 700 and you were on the market for 60 days and then they dropped it to 650 and it went under contract in 5 days, then what I'm looking at is the market price for that property was in the ballpark of 650 and it had only taken 5 days to get it sold. They wasted 2 months being overpriced, right? So I'll have them look at those prices, and then I'll usually ask something to say, okay, based on what you see here with these comparables and knowing your house, what price do you feel we should use to create value in the eyes of the buyer and get someone to decide to buy your home versus the competition? Okay, they will give you their opinion, even if it's wrong. If all the comps are saying 650, they're gonna, well, in order to do this and to pay off my car, my boat, and all that stuff, I need 700. Okay, I'm gonna have to have a conversation with them. Okay, but for the most part, people are realistic. They'll say, well, I was hoping to get 675, but it really looks like after sellers pay closing costs and everything, the value is closer to 650, and I'd say I would agree with that. And then I'd recommend that we list the home for that price. And then I'll just give them a close. Do you want to list a home with me at that price right now? And then I just wait for them to answer. Sometimes it takes them 30 seconds. Usually not that long, but it can take them a few seconds. Wait for what they say, okay? You're either going to get a yes, we're ready to go, and then you secretly just, give it a little fist pump and start your paperwork. Or they may have some other questions. Can you think of any questions that a seller might ask before they make a decision? Any questions that you think the seller might ask before they make a decision? Nothing at all. Come on, guys. Come on. We're on Zoom. But Dakota, what do you think?
Probably like how long you think it's gonna take to sell is what I've gotten, or your commission
Yeah.
and
Have I talked about
what that
commission at
includes.
all?
Nope.
Yeah. So they are going to ask those questions. So let's take the first one there. Well, how long do you think it's going to sell? I say, I have a decent grasp of the market statistics. I usually will answer that question. We'll say, listen, if it's priced right, we can expect we're probably going to be under contract in the first 10 days. If we're overpriced, we may have to go through a price reduction. But regardless, we will know in 7 to 10 days if we are priced right. Okay. So we're going to be looking at things in 10 days increments, folks. As for commission, I say, okay, great. Let's go ahead. We're going to go through, let's go through a net sheet. Then I will bring my net sheet out. Okay. And I'll show them, okay, estimated sale price of 650. It figures out title insurance. It has my brokerage fee on it. I tell them to expect that they're probably going to be asked to pay up to 3% for the buyer's broker on it. That is negotiable, right? But I kind of tell them is that I always want to look at worst case scenario because I don't want you to be surprised. So why don't we do our net sheet at 640? If the market doesn't quite meet our expectations and we have to do a price reduction, maybe we should look at 640 or 635. Okay. I'm going to push them a little bit. I'm going to push them a little bit to find out because again, does it matter what the seller thinks the house is worth, what they want for it, how much money they need out of it, what I think it's worth, what I think it's going to appraise for? Does any of that matter? I'll give you the answer to that question. The answer is no, it doesn't. Well, I'm polite about it, but it doesn't matter what they need. Who determines the value of that house?
The buyers.
Yeah, what buyer? The buyers that are actually looking right now. The buyers that are out there looking right now, they set the market, right? And if they and now if you guys have worked with buyers, or at least when I work with buyers, we go out, we look at some houses, we find one there's some interest in. One of the first things buyers are going to ask me, or I usually bring up to them is, what do you think of this one? Do you think it's priced right? Let me take a look at the comps. I'm going to look at the comps. So I tell back into this situation where I'm meeting with the sellers, I say, when a buyer comes and they look at your house, if they're interested in it, they're going to ask their real estate agent to look at the comparable. So they are going to be looking at the same information you and I are looking at right now. And if they see that the average sale price, based on these houses that are very similar, as similar as possible to yours, is 650, do you think they're going to offer 675 or 700? No, they're not. And then I put it back to them, would they? Bring it back to a situation. When they bought this home, did they look at us? Did they do some due diligence with their agent to determine, are they overpaying for this house? Okay, so in the commission breakdown, that's where it can be, well, I got a cousin that will, list it for $0. Guys, you're going to have to learn. We can talk about that in a different class, what we call objection handlers. But really, it's just a seller has a question for you. Or when they ask that, they have a question for me. They say, Mike, I got a cousin that said he'll do it for 1%. They're asking me, will I do it for 1%? Well, I just, no. But it's probably good if I give them a reason why. Okay. So you'll learn to handle that. So once you get through this presentation, which I hope you can see is not, did I talk about me at all? Did I talk about my marketing plan at all? Okay. Just giving you my opinion on it. It's just not their biggest concern. It's somebody that's a professional that's coming in, leading them through a process. I come in and I asked them a few questions to deal with their motivation. I then told them that, at the end of my presentation, we had a couple options that we were both free to walk away from each other, no harm, no foul. I then told them, repeated to them what they told me over the phone. I told them I was listening to them. Then I talked with them about motivation and price. Then I talked a little bit about what a comparative market analysis is. Then we went through that data. I showed them in black and white. Now, I'm not perfect and everything is a little bit subjective. I do my best to get properties priced properly. In this market, I'm still mispricing stuff and thinking I can get a little bit more, and we got to do price reductions. Okay. And so then I'm just asking them based on that, what do you want to list a house at? We may have that conversation. Then I'm just asking them, okay, great. Great. Would you like to list a house with me at that time? Then they're going to maybe give me a series of questions. Guys, sometimes they don't. They're just like, well, that sounds good. They'll sign the listing agreement. And then after they're done signing the listing agreement, they're like, "Ah, we forgot to ask, Mike, what do you do to sell homes? Huh, glad you brought that up. Happy to go through that. Here's my marketing plan. Okay. It's integrated within my CMA. Right. So I see a lot of agents, and again, whatever you're comfortable with, but if you're going to go in and talk all about yourself and all about your brokerage and all about this and everything you're going to do for them, I I just don't see as many people being successful that way as they do with coming in and asking them a series of questions and educating them on the market and the pricing. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Questions, thoughts, comments. Could you guys do that? That presentation I had up there. When I do the class live, we usually do some role play and stuff. And I encourage people, guys, find a presentation that you're comfortable with. Because if you're going in thinking about what you're going to say next, you're not listening to them, and you're going to do what I did the first 5 or 6 years of my career. And I just sucked at listings. And I wondered why until a good friend and colleague of mine challenged me and said, do you have it? What do you say? Do you know what you're going to say? Do you have it internalized? Do you have it memorized so you can keep the sellers on task, right? I don't want to be in their house any longer than I need to be. They don't want me there any. Even my good friends when I go out, it's business. It's okay. They want somebody to come in, tell them the truth, listen to them, and I will add, not just agree with everything they say. Be a professional. You're the professional. You may not think so, but you know more about pricing than people. When you start dealing with, you start looking at homes and doing market analysis, you learn pricing, and you can learn it very, very quickly if you do the right things. So, all right. Dana, did you have something? I'm not sure why, but your picture's right front and center.
No, I was just, I think it probably put me in center as I answered your question last.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. I'm just going to go top to bottom. Dakota, talk to me. Thoughts? Can you do that? Do you have a presentation? Do you have something else that's working for you? Do you have something that you've internalized so you're not thinking about what you're going to say next and you can actually listen to the sellers?
No, honestly. I've gone on one listing appointment and I have like a listing, like a packet but my presentation I'm still working.
Mhm.
But I've just been focusing on buyers right now.
And that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. Not a problem. And listen, a listing packet, great thing to have. But when the rubber hits the road, when you get a motivated seller and you're going out to meet with them in their house, you want to walk in there with confidence.
Yeah.
And you will be confident when you know what to say. Okay, so whether that presentation we just had up on there, and I'm sure Terry can share that with all of you guys. They used to tell us don't modify it, but memorize it and internalize it, and then make it your own.
That is in the chat. I put the PDF in the chat
Oh, awesome,
for
awesome.
anybody who wants it.
Yes, guys, do that. It's one of the most popular ones. Stems from Mike Ferry from years ago and KW Maps, and I still know a lot of agents that use the basic thing. It's not hours. It's just coming in. I know when I sit down with people, I'm going to start by asking. I wrote down 3 real important questions for you. I'm going to ask that, see what they want to do. Usually when I say, do you want me to handle the sale for you? People are going to hem and haw a little bit, even if I know them well and past customers. Okay, great. Then at the end of my presentation tonight, one of three things will happen. Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to repeat the questions that we talked about over the phone to tell them I was listening. Then I'm going to talk about price and motivation. Then I'm going to talk a little bit. And when I say talk, I'm just basically reading a sentence. Read it. I take copies of that still with me to this day. I don't do it as often as I used to because I do have it internalized. I do have it memorized. But it's a checklist. Did I cover everything? So when they start going off on a tangent and talking about their neighbor's chickens and how they get after the dogs, and hey, that's all cool and stuff, but I can bring them back to it and I know where I left off. And I'm just using a checklist. And they will never, ever, 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 ever ask you what you're doing with a paper in your hand. And again, never, ever, ever, ever would they ask you. But in the one in gazillion chance that they did, you just tell them it's just my checklist. I want to stay on task and make sure that I'm not wasting your time. They love it. Okay. Just dropping down. Dana, your thoughts. Have you thought about having a presentation so you can become a great listing agent?
I don't have one yet, but I have kept that in mind as far as like making sure I'm putting them first, trying to go in with the game plan as far as like asking them questions about their home, about themselves, why it is they're trying to sell, just basically trying to put them first and making sure that I stay on track with that. And I have been trying to develop my own, but it's kind of nice to see the one that was shared so I can kind of like go off of that and kind of try to create something with it.
There you go, man. Love it. Yeah, love it. And back to Dakota, something you mentioned, you're focusing more on buyers right now. Normal. That's normal when people are new in the business on that. But carve out a little time to go practice. You guys hear me preach this. I know if you probably all have me in classes and from the brokerage when I'm doing it, guys. If you will suck it up and go get a role play partner, there's several of you on here now. Get some scripts, if you work on nothing else, work on your listing presentation. Find something. Dana, use that one as a guide. Use it, change it. I don't care. They used to tell us don't change it, but listen, have something so when you sit down, you're in charge, and you're in charge by just really asking questions. That's what most of that presentation is, just asking questions, moving on to the next topic. Okay. Role play that stuff with each other. I don't know why people don't do it anymore. We used to do it all the time. That's how I learned it. We would get together in the morning, and what's the first rule of role play? First rule of role play, be nice. Okay, be nice to each other. As you get better, challenge each other. But for lack of a better word, don't be an arse when you're role playing with somebody for the first time. Get a couple different role play partners. Say, hey, would you mind if I went through? You guys come up to my door if I'm not available and you coming up and ask me, I would love it. Would you like to role play a listing presentation? Yes. You can do it from 5 minutes. It's not that complicated, but you've got to build that. You've got to internalize it and memorize it, and then it becomes your own. And then you are so much more confident when you are going out to meet with a seller in their home. It can be intimidating sometimes, but if you know what you're going to say and you have confidence in it, or if you know what you're going to say, you're going to be confident. Okay. Giovanna, have you have you done a listing presentation? Do you have something that works for you?
I don't. The only one I have is the one you gave us in February in Ignite class.
Wow. Now I'm really going to put you.
Also, no, Lori sent me one too. But I'm thinking to be on the buyer side.
Okay.
I'm feeling, yeah, it's gonna be more easy for me.
Yeah, but listen, guys, buyers are easier. I'll just tell you that. Some people would disagree. Buyers are easier. Why? Why do you think buyers are easier than sellers?
I think it's because buyers actually have the intent to already buy, so they're going to already want to buy. So they kind of have that pre-drive ready to go and get the home. That's just kind of my thought.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. But I'd also tell you, there's a lot of sellers out there that have to drive to sell their home. The reason why I think people are number one, because you got to go into somebody's house, sit down, get an agreement that they're going to sign to you that's months long, and you're writing it down, they're paying you a pretty good chunk of money. And I think that just makes people nervous. Like, are they going to hire me? It's, look at the net sheets. Do we charge a lot of money? I don't think we do based on today's cost on it and stuff, but a lot of sellers do. It's like, whew, okay, wow, brokerage fees. Yeah, I forgot about those. But then there's the logistics. Okay, once I take the listing, what do I do with it? Getting it on the MLS. So it's just more, it's a more complicated process. But by having listings, you gain some leverage. Okay, they're, in my opinion, much less time extensive than buyers are. And again, I want to say there's nothing wrong with buyers. Get used to transactional real estate. Most agents are going to work with buyers first, but don't discount listings. Okay, so one of the best things you can do is, you may not have any listing leads. Find that presentation, guys. Role play it with each other. Find something that works for you. So when the opportunity arises, or you find the buyer and says, yeah, I'd love for you to help me find a home. I need to sell mine before I can buy. Okay. You don't want, oh man. Okay. You have some confidence. You know how to go through that process. So learn the paperwork process with listings. I'm available to help. You've got coaches available to help. But really, for this class, what I wanted to focus on is, hopefully, again, it's hard to do on Zoom, and I get it. It's hard to interact on Zoom, but it's really hard to teach this class, because I like it to be interactive and actually have you do role play with one another to get a feel for that you can learn a listing presentation, whether it's the one I just showed you or something else. But learn it, memorize it, internalize it. Your confidence will go through the roof when you start having conversations with people that are, hey, I'm thinking about selling my home. Yeah, okay, let's chat. Right? Okay. That's pretty much all I have. It's a little bit abbreviated with this class. Anything else you guys have? Or I guess I've been told that I am a broker, so if you had any broker questions, I'm happy to answer them now. When do we get to see you push you? I'm assuming that's Terry that asks, when do you get playing fancy guitars? They're just for show. I don't actually play. Someday, Terry, I got to bring one back into the office. I had one in Draper, so uh, I won't be playing at team meeting. How many people on here really like Iron Maiden?
I've heard a few of
Terry,
their songs.
what's that?
I've heard a few of their songs. My dad was big into 80s rock.
Oh, David, but you can't call it 80s rock. That was their heyday. They're still making new music and doing world tours. So there's just my plug for Maiden. Uh, but thanks. I'm glad you at least know who they are. So Terry, that being said, I won't be playing at team meeting at all. But anyway, I'll thank you guys for your time. I'm still, if you got another question, just anything regarding real estate, I'm happy to answer it. All right, that's a signal that you guys probably had a long day. We're busy. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for taking the time to be on here. I hope I planted the seed that you need to
Thank you,
have.
Mike.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. I'll go. I don't know if you guys are staying on, but I will see you soon. Terry, it's good to hear your voice. Be in touch.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye. Do you ladies have questions for me tonight?
Are we done, Terry, or there's gonna be another class?
So I just stay on afterwards to answer any questions you guys have. So if you have any questions, I'm happy
Oh,
to answer them for you.
no, I don't have questions.
Awesome. What have you been working on?
I'm working on open houses for everybody.
Good.
And
How's it
also,
going?
yeah, good. So I'm gonna have two this Saturday, and I did one last week on Friday for Kenya. And also I was working in creating my company on all those stuff like the bank and you know.
Nice. Yeah, how are the open houses going? Are you picking up some leads? Are you capturing contact info?
No, not yet because nobody show up. So I hope this
Oh,
Saturday
they've been
it's
slow.
gonna be better. Yeah, it's gonna be one in Clearfield, and the other one's gonna be in West Jordan. So I'm hoping West Jordan maybe I can find somebody.
Oh, good. Yeah, just make sure you capture their information so you can follow up with them. That's really the key to that. And then also, because you're on here, I am putting together a team for working our Parade of Homes home. And you are on my list to see if that's something you would like to do. The cool thing is they actually will pay us. They pay, usually it's somewhere between $16 and $18 an hour. So I definitely want to, I'm putting together a team of people. Are you still doing real estate full time?
Yeah,